Hi everybody, and thanks for joining me today. So working more on the wing. Today I will be working on the darker bit here. Yeah, it's like got more blues and purples and burgundies before we get into the lighter part of the wings again. Ooh. I apologize in advance, I'm going to yawn a lot. Yeah, it's just one of those nights. Woke up 2 hours before the alarm and couldn't really sleep after that. Yeah. Just kind of dozed a bit, so yeah, I am a little bit out of it. Yeah, another somewhat smoky day. They are calling for a lot of rain this coming week, so hopefully that'll clear things out a bit. But yeah, I was mentioning Fort McMurray that had to be evacuated a few years ago. Unfortunately, they've had to evacuate it again. Hopefully it won't actually burn this time, because yeah, a lot of it did last time. Really sucked for those people there, and yeah, you'd hate to think about how much stuff has been rebuilt. Wouldn't want it to burn down again. Yeah, so as you can see, I've moved my frame. I kind of almost put it a little too, shifted it a little too far over to the left. So I could sort of just barely get my needle, maneuver my needle around here. Because the ruler I use to keep it from rolling in the stand is kind of like right there. So yeah, it's sort of a balance I have to strike of trying to be as close to the left edge so I could work as far as I can with before I have to move it, but not too close that I can't, yeah, maneuver my needles around. It's just barely, a little bit. Probably should have moved it another ½ an inch over, but oh well. It's workable where it is, so I'm not going to move it because, yeah, I don't like taking it out of the stand and putting it back in is a bit of an ordeal. So I don't like to do that until it's absolutely necessary. Oh, my goodness, yeah, there I go. So yeah, my husband was saying after they got back from kiddo practicing driving the manual that he's almost got it. He's really close. Unfortunately, my husband has to go away to Ontario like tonight, and he won't be back for a week. So yeah, they'll have to put the practice on hold for a little while. Because he said, yeah, otherwise, if he was able to stay here and practice with him, he'd be ready by next week. But, yeah. But I said, no rush. He's still using my car until he's ready to use his. It's still nice enough that I can walk generally. And if not, then when he gets home, he'll drive me if I need to go somewhere. So. Probably threw off my sleep because I had to lie down for a bit of a nap yesterday. Yeah. Fighting a little bit of a cough, so yeah, that's probably what it is. I don't like to take a nap unless I really can't keep my eyes open because, yeah, it messes things up. My husband can take a nap anytime, and it doesn't throw him off. Unless it turns into like a 3-hour nap, but that's rare. He usually just lies down for like 20 to 30 minutes. So yeah, it's wild to me. Like he'll say, how much time until dinner? And I'll say, oh, 15 minutes. Oh, okay, I'll go lie down. It's like, really? For me, that would be just enough time to just start falling asleep. And then it would leave me even more exhausted. Yeah. So that was the hardest part when our son was little, is I think he had reflux. Like, was never diagnosed, but I'm pretty sure that's what it was. And so often he would wake up after 10 minutes or something and crying. And so, like I said, people would say, oh, sleep when the baby sleeps. Well, I'm like, well, my kid didn't sleep. It was just enough time to almost fall asleep. And then he'd wake up and need to be burped and held and whatever. And so then I was just even more tired, right? Yeah. And then sometimes he'd sleep just fine. So it was so frustrating, because it's like, okay, I'm putting him down for a nap. Is he going to actually sleep for an hour, or is it going to be 5 minutes? Of course, the times I go, well, I'll probably wake up in 5 minutes. I'll have to comfort him, so I won't bother lying down. Then he'd sleep for an hour, no problem. It's like, oh, come on. Ooh. Yeah, I have friends who are my age or maybe a little bit younger who will, you know, hold somebody's newborn and say, oh my gosh, you know, I want one more of these, talk me out of it. And I'm just like, yeah, that's never been me. I think babies are sweet and stuff, but yeah, every time I'd be like, I'm glad I can give you back and I don't have to do this stage anymore. Yeah, it was not my favorite stage. That is for sure. I find I've been more enjoying sort of each stage as it comes, rather than wishing for one that already went by. So, yeah. I mean, yes, of course, there are times I look back at baby pictures and toddler pictures and think, oh my goodness, you know, you were so little when I could just pick you up, you know. You climb into my lap for me to read you Winnie the Pooh books and stuff, but yeah, I wouldn't go back. So I guess that's why people love their grandkids so much, right? They get to enjoy all the sweet little baby stage, and then you can just hand them back. Ooh. Although, same thing, I told my kid, he's not going to get pressure from me to have grandkids. If he wants to have kids, great. If he doesn't, that'll be fine too. Yeah. And certainly no rush, because you're 17, so yeah. Definitely not now, thank you. One nice thing with all the rain out there is everything's nice and green now. After the snow melts, it's all brown and not so nice, but then yeah, after a couple of rainfalls, it perks up. It's nice and green again. Yeah, our yard used to look really bad. It had lots of, almost looked like burned out spots. Then we had a tree that was in the corner of the yard, and it was kind of close to the house, and it was getting big enough that we were worried the roots were going to crack the foundation. So we cut it down, and then my husband actually had it ground up into mulch and put it on those burned looking bits, and it worked great. They look fine now. Yeah, because the stump that was left behind, we hired some people to come with a big grinder. It almost looked like this huge chainsaw, and it would just sweep back and forth and grind up the stump down to the ground into mulch. So we used that. Unfortunately, while they did it, they cut the neighbor's internet line. Because, yeah, they actually left one of the roots behind. We didn't see it till after, so it's still there. And they went a little too far to the one side, which we told them not to go there. And, yeah, they cut the neighbor's line. And so, actually, my husband ended up going and fixing it for them because, yeah, like, they called the company, and it was like, well, it's going to be 2 weeks till we get out there. And their, at the time, teenage daughter was suffering without her internet, right? So yeah, it was like, yeah, I'll fix it for them because that was our fault. But yeah, she's grown and married and living overseas now. Yeah. Yeah, she babysat for us a couple of times when our kiddo was little. But not much, because we didn't go out a lot when he was little. Although, honestly, we're mostly homebodies, so yeah. Like, we hired, there was another one. She's kind of like my niece. Not really. I kind of joke that, she's one of my friends, but I joke that she's like my sister-in-law because her sister is married to my husband's brother. So, like, yeah, technically her sister is my sister-in-law and she isn't, but yeah, we kind of say it's like second cousins, right? So, yeah. So, like, son calls her aunt, you know, and yeah, one of their daughters babysat for us a few times. Actually, a couple of them did at different times, yeah. As the oldest sort of aged out and got an actual, you know, job, yeah. Then the next youngest took it on. Yeah. But now it's nice because, yeah, kiddo's old enough that he doesn't need anyone to watch him, so yeah, like when we went to the gala earlier this month, it was, okay, well, you know where the food is. Cook yourself some dinner. We'll see you later. Because, yeah, he's actually turned into a pretty decent cook because he's taken commercial cooking at school for 2 years now. So, yeah, he often brings home goodies for us. Yeah, he brought home these really yummy cinnamon roll cookies. So they were like a cookie texture, but they were like, yeah, cinnamon rolls. It's, you know, they were rolled up and then cut, I think. The dough was rolled up and cut, and yeah, they were delicious. I said, man, if you have the recipe, I want it because, yeah, it was so good. Let's see if this piece is long enough or not. It's pretty short. Try to stretch it for 2 stitches. Oh, I think I can manage if I'm careful. Yeah, my one rule is when cooking, you have to stay in the kitchen because he's like me. If he'll walk off and do something else, he'll forget, and that's how you start a fire. And actually, he did. He burned a bunch of sauce in the bottom of one of my pots. Fortunately, he didn't, like, burn it out, so we just had to soak it and clean it off, and it was fine. But I said, yeah, that is why we have the rule. You stay there because... yeah, that way you can hear when things start boiling over. At the most, I might let myself use the bathroom sometimes, but that means it's like, you know, a minute. And I come right back because, yeah. Yeah, my mom, she burned the bottom out of 2 kettles because this was the old ones that didn't have like an auto shut off. And it was... you put the water and plugged it in and the element would heat it and then you unplugged it to stop it. And so, yeah, a couple of times she put the kettle on, went away to do something else, forgot that it was there. And yeah, when she picked it up later, it boiled dry and the bottom fell right out. Like, oops. Fortunately, it did not start a fire because, yeah, that could have been disastrous. Fortunately, she had it on the stovetop and not on the counter. But yeah, that was not good. Okay, so I'm going to do a little bit of closing in here, I think. Just kind of looking around. Yeah, So yeah, because I'm kind of working from this edge up and also sort of from the top down, yeah, there's a little bit that ends up closed in. That's okay. Okay, so what I'm going to do is actually switch colors first. I'm going to do that one stitch in that corner there. I'll try not to unthread my other needle. This is a really long piece. I must have just added it. Yeah, probably in that last pass right up there and then parked it here. It's been waiting a while to be used. So yeah, I'm going to kind of work on this stripes here and then work on the next ones coming up. Yeah, like I've said in previous videos, because all the colors are going this way, I'm just going to follow them. I find that a little easier. Okay, so I'm going to diverge these, so in fact this one I can probably unthread for now. It's going to be a while till I get back to it. Try to keep things tidy here. Just put this piece of felt here because I find otherwise my hand rubs against it and it gets kind of uncomfortable. So having the felt there is just, yeah, a little softer, not so scratchy. Yeah, I also had some fingerless gloves sometimes I wore if the fabric was scratching my hand, but then they get kind of hot, so I find the felt is a little more comfortable. Okay, so yeah, this color branches off a fair bit, so I'm gonna be working sort of the lower branch of it for a while till I sort of, well, get to a stopping point that feels right. I will shift up a bit and work the next stripe, and so on and so forth. Okay, so put that there, and then I'm going to start another thread of this color. Yeah, looking at the mock-up, I didn't realize that it was such a dark and bright reds here. I guess with the other darker colors, it makes it look not quite as bright. Yeah, it was funny, my sister saying that kiddo has a Jeep. We should get him a bunch of the little rubber ducks to play the duck Jeep game, which I'm like, I had never heard of it. So I had to look it up, and yeah, apparently somebody started it just during like 2020. They had put a little rubber duck on somebody else's Jeep with a little note saying nice Jeep, and then it sort of became this thing that, yeah, Jeep owners will pass them along to other Jeep owners as a little sort of acknowledgement or wave. Yeah, so that's pretty cool. And you can share it with the hashtag #DuckDuckJeep, like the Duck Duck Goose game, right? So yeah, it's funny, like I actually looked it up and there were bags specifically labeled for that, like on Amazon and stuff. So yeah, one of those things like Punch Buggy, right? Yeah, you can't play that game as much now because they're not as popular, but whenever you saw a Volkswagen Bug, if you saw it first, you got to punch your sibling or whatever and say Punch Buggy and then the color, so Punch Buggy Blue and stuff or whatever, yeah. But yeah, you don't see them around as much anymore. They redesigned them in like 98 or something like that. Yeah, but again, that's been a while ago now, so. Yeah, I remember one of my friends saying that the new ones kind of look like phones, like a handheld with the receiver in the holder. And I was like, oh, I couldn't unsee that after she said it. Oh, it was funny online. I saw somebody had a vanity plate they put on their Volkswagen Bug that said feature. So yeah, it's a feature, not a bug. That was pretty clever. Or there was one, somebody had a black Jeep and they got a custom license plate that said Baba. So yeah, Baba Black Jeep. Yeah, that's next level dad joke, right? Or yeah, there was another Volkswagen Bug. I had one that said "Ew, a bug." Yeah. Or there was one, somebody had a Cube and they got a license plate saying sugar, and then there was another, somebody actually got the chemical formula for glucose. Yeah, so you had to be a bit of a chemistry nerd to get that one. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, like again, I said I was going to diverge this a bit because yeah, there's some that sort of goes down here and some that sort of goes around the next color. So I'm going to stick with the bottom run for now and then come back and fill in the next one later. What has gone on here? There we go. Yeah, sometimes the needle doesn't want to slide. Sometimes that means the eye of the needle has gotten a bit rough and it needs to be replaced. But sometimes it's just the thread has wrapped around itself a little too firmly, which I think is what happened here because there's no fuzzing around where the eye of the needle was. So pardon me, once it starts to do that, that usually means it's time to discard that needle and swap it for a new one. I keep an old pill bottle that I keep my discarded needles in, and then I will throw it away that way. Yeah, there was a discussion in a group I'm in because they said, like, throwing it away in the regular trash doesn't seem right. And they said, yeah, they actually will later label the box sharps or the container sharps when they throw it away, just in case. Yeah, so that there's no chance of sticking the sanitation worker by accident. Yeah, we don't think of that as being a hazardous job, but it is because, yeah, there's a lot of things people don't dispose of properly that could be dangerous. Like, yeah, you're supposed to dispose of sharps properly, but not everybody does. Pardon me. Yeah, sorry, that smoke in the air is still irritating my throat a bit. I said I had a bit of a cough as well, so there's that. But the smoke in the air is not helping either. Just gonna look a bit. Yeah, so this kind of run goes down a bit, but I'm probably just gonna cut it off right about here, do the next few, and then sort of go from the bottom again. Yeah, because I could sort of follow it all the way down, but that would kind of be a long run, so I kind of break it up into smaller, more manageable sections. Kind of decide when I get there. Sometimes I decide to just carry on with those colors before coming back up. Sometimes I decide to cut it off and, yeah, do like I said before. Well, either way, eventually it all gets filled in. Eventually every pixel is replicated on the fabric. Yeah, it was funny because someone said, that person who wasn't cross-stitcher said, oh, it's like paint by number with thread. And they were really offended for some reason. I'm like, but it kind of is, you know? Nothing wrong with that. Yeah, I remember those were really popular when I was a kid, the paint by number kits. We had a few, but like, honestly, we never finished them. Yeah. I remember too, some of the little areas to color in were so small that they couldn't put the number in that area, and they had to put it with like a little arrow. So you're supposed to seek those out and paint them all first so they don't get painted over by other colors. And honestly, yeah, that was often where we sort of gave up. Yeah, you kind of had to be dedicated enough to... Yeah, when we were on lockdown for art class, they sent the kids home with sort of some homemade ones. They had a canvas that they had sketched an outline on, and then the kids were over Zoom copying, replicating what the teacher did, which was pretty cool. I don't think my son ever finished his. Yeah, it was a fox with like a scarf on. Was the picture that had been chosen. Okay, so actually to stitch down and back up a bit, like I often do. Yeah, painting's not really my thing either. My hands aren't steady enough. Never have been. Like, even just to fill in an outline, yeah, they're not great. Yeah, it's, who knows. I got fine motor skills for other things, but that wasn't one that I was great at. Like, yeah, I can knit, I can play piano, I can type, I can do this, but yeah, drawing and painting is pretty hopeless for me. All right. Yeah, so I kind of ended here because that's sort of where some colors ended because of the way it's shaped on the picture. That's kind of part of a wing feather, and then they kind of morph into different feathers. So the shape kind of changes. So that's why I kind of chose to make a break point there. And then, like I said, I'll fill it in later. It will all be filled in. Plus my threads are kind of about to run out in this spot anyway, so makes a good place to stop there, and I'll add it later. Thread that. Actually, that one as well. Might as well. It's going to be a while till I get to it, so. Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Eye of the needle, grab that one. So, try that needle again and see if it does it again, then I know it's time for it to go. Oh, I did do these, I just didn't fill them in. Okay. So this thread is pretty close to done, so I'm going to park it here to do that one stitch. I'm going to go back up a bit and do this color. So yeah, I kind of decide as I go. I plan ahead somewhat, but a lot of it is just made up as I go along. I've done 1, 1, 1 so far today. Yeah, I said 40% was doable this month, and it definitely was. We're past that now. And I think I have 2 more sessions this month, so maybe we'll even reach 41. Who knows? That'd be pretty cool. One of my hairs there. We don't want to stitch that into the into the piece. Yeah, when our guinea pig was still alive, I often ended up accidentally stitching her fur into my work. Ooh, you couldn't always see them. They were so short, just long enough to get caught, and they were very thin and fine. So yeah, she was very fluffy. So she had a lot of her fur hanging around. Yeah, we actually had a scare a couple times before we lost her. Her fur started thinning. And yeah, it turned out that they said she had probably cysts on her ovaries that was messing with her hormones and causing the hair loss. So, but she had a couple of injections, and yeah, fur grew back. So yeah, it was actually like, I think a cow medication they used, just a microdose. Yeah, and I think she had like 3 of them, and then yeah, it helped fix that. Her fur grew back in all nice and thick again. Yeah, we had to do that a couple times, about a year before she passed away, and a few months, about 6 months later. Yeah. Yeah, it's been over a year. I still miss that little sweetie. Yeah, and then later in the year, we lost my mother-in-law. And yeah, it's sad because, like I said, my niece is getting married this month. She is the oldest grandkid and the first one to get married. So yeah, it's going to be bittersweet not having my mother-in-law there. I know she definitely would have wanted to be there. Because yeah, it seems like not very long ago she was at our wedding. Even though that was, sheesh, 22 years ago now. Yeah, time sure flies. not color that one in yet. Just came up again, didn't you? Yep. There we go. Okay, just trying to decide which edge I want to come from. I think we'll do from the bottom edge. Back up again. Ends are being real pests today. So not a lot of bigger blocks, but a little bit here. Quite a bit of this color, so. Actually, there's a lot of this color in this pattern. See it. Over 11,000 stitches of it to go. Can squeak out 2 more, so might as well. That was a close thing. I don't think I could have got another half stitch out of that. It still had enough thread to tie it off. Pardon me. Got a knot. Okay, so I think I'll add this one more color here, and I think that will be where I take a break for today. Yeah, I apologize, a little less talkative today because I'm more tired, sore throat, but I hope you enjoyed stitching with me anyway. So yeah, 245. It's quite a good number put up today. So thank you so much for joining me, and hope to see you here next time. Thanks everyone. Bye.